Good morning. This is Bill from Europa, Naples on a lovely Florida Thursday. Other than we've got more crap going on over there with trucks beeping and backing up and diesel noises and people yelling at each other, which of course takes some of the peace out of the morning. The only thing I can say for it is it seems to scare all the birds away, so that's something minimal. Number two, well, anyway, the hell, I'll get into it, then I'll get into number two in a minute. I have today what is quickly becoming one of my favorite modern era Mercedes-Benz examples. That's not really a great way to put it. One of my favorite modern era Mercedes-Benz cars. It doesn't matter. Anyway, the CLK Coupe, and particularly the CLK 500 Coupe, I think is nicely maturing into a lovely collectible. That's number one about the CLK Coupe. Number two, it's the most attainable of what I think is a really nice Mercedes-Benz product. I mean, there's plenty of them out there that are cheap, but if you want to sort of balance everything when you're buying a car, a Mercedes-Benz car, this does it all pretty well. How could I put it like this? Let's say you're a guy out there that you want to, dick around with a Mercedes. You've always wanted one. You're a little bit fearful of the repair costs because you have access to the internet and, of course, all the horror. One time I had some pains in my side, and I did some research on the internet, and I almost checked myself into the hospital that night to have my appendix removed. It turned out it was, a bad linguine, but, one can read the internet and become very quickly terrified of anything, and that holds true more than anything with, when you Google repair costs Mercedes-Benz. What is this? What is this? Oh, it's just a reflection. I thought he left a leaf in there. So anyway, so you're probably terrified. You read about all the problems with SLs and S-classes, and then you look at the Cs and they bore you. It looks like something your kid would take to college. So what do you do? What do you go for? In my mind, you go for this, the CLK, and there's a good reason for it. It came out in 1998, the first gen, the C208. This is a C209, which was a refresh, redesign for 2004. And I think all around it's just a terrific car, and I'll get into why. Okay, number two earlier, which I was talking about. I have one rule here, and that is don't park your car like a retard. Just don't do it. It's one of the rules that I have. And this car is parked like a retard did it. I mean, you've got the wheel cocked off to the left. It's haphazardly thrown in like you just spilled a beaker of acid in your lap, or you saw a snake in there and had to get out in a hurry. And it just drives me crazy. This car belongs to Charo, our office assistant. Very nice woman, very lovely woman. But, she just can't be parking her cars like that. You can't park any car here like that. I'm a little bit OCD when it comes to parking cars. And at the moment, I've got absolute chaos because everyone here is a complete nitwit. Absolute nitwit. Look at that line. Look at that line of cars. Yeah, I mean, bumpers out, bumpers back. I've given everybody laser levels that they can set up to park, and still, this is what I end up with. Anyway, let's get back to the CLK. I've got a few things to say about this. This is probably like the 13,000th CLK that I video reviewed on YouTube, so, I'm not going to go through all the normal stuff that I always go through on them. Well, I will on this car in a minute, but here's what I want to talk about. Here's what I think is really cool about this car. To me, it has more in common with a 60s American muscle car than any kind of, German exotic that you're used to seeing running around. I mean, this thing is the natural successor to the 1969 SS350 Camaro. It's, got a long front end, low, sleek. It's got a stubby little rump. It's got V8 under the hood. It's got 4 seats and 2 doors. And it is essentially a muscle car, except it's just significantly more comfortable than any muscle car that came in. Oh, look, here's another thing. I know in the comments section, I'm going to get all the flack about calling this truly the first Mercedes muscle car. So I'm going to get very specific about this. I'm aware of the 300 SEL 6.3. I'm aware of the 450 SEL 6.9, the 190 E16 valve, the 500E, the 560 SEC we can get into. But here's the thing with all of those. They're sedans. They're four-doors. And yes, there were some American four-door muscle cars, but it's not what you think of. When you say, oh, I want a muscle car, the first thing that comes to your mind is a Chevelle and or a Camaro or whatnot. And this thing has way more in common with one of those than any German car, any Mercedes-Benz car that came out before it. In '98, truly to me was the great successor of the American muscle car with the CLK 430. And it only got better with this 209 series in the CLK 500. So I get it, I know what you're going to say. The 560 SEC, it's too big. I mean, it's one of my favorite cars of all time. I've watched Roadhouse just to see that car, even though it had really crappy wheels and a terrible ride height. But it just wasn't a true muscle car the way that this is. It's nimble, rack and pinion steering, torquey V8. I think it's the true successor to the late 60s, early 70s American muscle cars. Now you can see the design of the car is quite sleek and nice, very lovely. Nice big rounded greenhouse on top, lovely elegant stubby tail. It robbed a few things from the different Benzes of the time. The front end is a little SL-ish. The taillights, the rear end is a little bit E-class-ish, and I think it brought it all together in a very lovely way. It also has the very classic Mercedes-Benz pillarless coupe design, and what that means is that there's no window frame here. You can see this is just the two windows coming together, nothing around the top. So when you run all four windows down, you get this giant big expanse of side, which you just don't get on a lot of cars. And that here's why, by the way, it's hard to do. I mean, frames make the car seal much better. If you're going to have frameless doors like this for the windows, then you better be great at engineering if the thing's not going to leak air and water, which thank God Mercedes is. But anyway, like the old Chevelles and such, you could run all the windows down and have a big open side. Not all of those things had air conditioning. And anyway, that's just part of what I like. And that pillarless coupe design, it goes back, harkens back years and years. Mercedes, I want to say 60s with the CE coupes, maybe even before. Anyway, a lovely sort of vintage harkening there for Mercedes-Benz. Now, if you opted for the 500, which was, I think, a $6,000 or $7,000 option back in '05, you got the AMG Sport Package as part of the deal. And what that gave you is those really good-looking 5-star AMG alloys. It gave you bigger brakes. It gave you sort of styled, boxy rocker panels. You can see those beneath the doors, styled rear bumpers, AMG exhaust. Okay, now here's the thing. This is giving me an opportunity. I left this on the car. Why did I leave it on the car? I don't really have a good answer. I mean, I usually, when I see this thing on here, I pull it off because this is not an AMG car. And a lot of guys, a lot of poser types are going to go out and buy the AMG badge off eBay, stick it on the back, and, pretend they've got an AMG car. You see these guys driving around in like C110s with AMG badges, and I just think it's ridiculous. So I left it on this car because what the hell? They won. They just put it on every friggin' thing, and they won. There is Dalton, the detailer, driving my Silverado. We're going to have to get into that later. I think I left the 357 in there too, so that could be bad news. Anyway, so the guy put an AMG badge on there, which, fine. I guess the common dude on the street isn't going to know the difference, but anyone with a Mercedes knows, or, who's a bit of an enthusiast, and all you're doing is hurting yourself. So anyway, if you want it off this car, I'll take it off. If it were mine, I'd take it off. Part of that package, you also get this little spoiler on the back, makes it very sporty, and I'm sure gives you rump end downforce at the racetrack. Anyway, so let's just get into this car. Let's just get in. I feel disheartened now after looking at that. All right, so from a few different perspectives. Number one, it's got a great trunk. It probably has a trunk bigger than the current generation S-Class. It's really, really big. And you get to put the back seats down. So if I pull this guy It's a 60-40 split. I can go over here, pop this seat forward, pull up on this little guy here, comes forward like on an old Corolla. Oh God, everything's hard. One-handed. Oh no, I dropped it. Okay, now it's back again. And there, look at that. So now you've got all kinds of room for cargo. I mean, this thing becomes as practical as an SUV. You got rocket launchers, you got pole vaults, well, maybe not pole vaults, fishing rods, you know, whatever it is a CLK type person needs, you're going to be able to stick them back here. Golf clubs, I suppose, you could do that, or, you know, cement mixers, anything at all. You go to Home Depot, go to Costco, and get everything you want. Get that back up. Oh, you gotta get that seatbelt around the edge, which is a pain. You see it's got airbags back there for passengers' heads and passengers' sides. Actually, a fairly useful back seat while we're back there. Your Canadians aren't going to be entirely miserable. They'll be able to sit in there and feel fairly chipper. It's pretty big for a two-door car, and that's another part of. That's another thing I like about the CLK. It's pretty damn roomy inside. So anyway, an intensely useful trunk that works quite well. If you lift up this guy here, has a little convenient hooky thing you can put there. Now you get access to your spare tire cover and a lovely little place to hide narcotics and submachine guns and you know, anything at all that you want to carry along with you. Very nice stuff. Have a look under the hood. Okay, so going back to this being a German Camaro, there is a 5-liter, 302 horsepower, 24-valve V8 that has plenty of torque, plenty of oomph, a lovely engine for this car. Gives it just the right amount of what you need going down the road. And again, that's why I call it the 350, you know, SS Camaro instead of the 454 or the LS7 or whatever they did with those things. You could opt for the CLK 55, the AMG tuned version that had more liters. They, you know, bored it out a little, did some other stuff to it. And it's a great car, great engine, but I think when you start tweaking it that way, you lose some of the reliability that makes this car so accessible for the guy who's terrified of a Mercedes-Benz. You know, I mean, there's some people, they don't like food. We had a mechanic at the other shop named Josh, and I swear to God, we were on a bowling team together. We'd hang out together sometimes. I had never seen him order anything except chicken wings. Ever. Sorry, chicken tenders. Never mind shake. I don't know what he'd do if he got bones. Chicken tenders. It's all he ever ate. And what's the poor bastard do if he goes to a Thai restaurant or something? And, you know, that's the thing with, like, what are they, a sweet and sour chicken. It's Chinese food for people who don't really like Chinese food. They get the sweet and sour chicken. So if you're terrified of Mercedes, but you really do want one, go with the CLK. This thing, it's not going to wound you. They're very reliable. This one under here, you can see all the ABS stuff, but it's not overly complicated. You don't see any lines running to the McPherson struts up front because it's not airmatic. In the back, it has multi-link, so it handles very well. I want to say 0.82 on the skid pad, and it's all very nice and simple. It's mated to Mercedes-Benz bulletproof 5-speed automatic that handles a ton of torque and shifts beautifully. So a terrific driveline on this car, and very rare for it to give you any kind of serious problems. You might contend with a few oil leaks or cam sensors or, you know, that kind of thing. But as far as real, true mechanical problems, they're very, very rare in a car like this. You get them more in a, you know, Dodge Neon than you do in a CLK. Anyway, this thing's super low mile, nice car. Everything absolutely show quality under the hood. Very, very nice stuff. I do like the ovoid grills. The AMG Sport package gives you that good-looking front bumper, which, again, is sort of emulate a Formula One car. You've got kind of a wing at the bottom, neat little metal mesh stuff, and very pretty. I also like the slope of the hood from the, it's like it's serving up the road ahead to you on a little beautiful diamond silver tray. You just see the bottom of that as you're going down the road, and a nice big three-pointed star in the grille, which, again, the Mercedes star is, a scary German logo where they're going to dominate on land, sea, and air, so they have one prong pointing at each. You got to like that. Nice big power sunroof up top. Again, those really good looking AMG wheels. Big brakes as part of that package. This thing's got a nice set of Michelins on there. You got indicators in the side view mirror. All very lovely. A nice little body line down the side. Just a pretty car. And again, very, very accessible for, your average everyday guy like me. And I think it is maturing just very, very nicely into something that will be collectible, particularly the coupes and particularly the V8 models. Okay, inside, this car still has some elegance. This is from an era of Mercedes where they, I won't say they, cheapened it up a little bit, but a little bit, compared to the stodgy, overbuilt stuff of the 90s and 80s. This was much more in tune with modern production stuff that you would have got in almost any car. But of course, Mercedes gave it a little extra loving, and that worked out well. So you get this nice bunched leather in the door panels. You get this lovely wood insert with a beautifully thin chrome strip down the bottom. Very nice. Mercedes 83-way power seats with memory, your windows, your trunk release. Not a very good car for putting oddments in, I have to say. There's not a ton of storage. So, you can put your revolver in here, and that's great, except people are going to see it. So it's not exactly what you want to do if you want things concealed. So probably a better spot to put, I don't know, whatever it is you need going down the road, bag of weed and a pipe or something. But anyway, all very nice. They also used a lot of ovals in this car. You can see the pull handle is oval, and we'll get into more of that, circles and ovals. All right, the seats, Mercedes-Benz sort of stodgy, stern level of luxury, quite unlike a Lexus with all its plushy softness. Mercedes-Benz approach to luxury is much more stern and angry, and that suits me. Here you can see it as a seatbelt presenter. When I close the door, turn that off. That little stalk comes out and hands the seatbelt to you. For an old guy like me, it's nice. It makes it easier to grab the belt without wrenching my arm. And then it retracts very nicely back into place. Part of an upmarket package, this one has a wood and leather steering wheel. That was optional. Nice. Over here you've got your automatic headlights, your power mirrors, your circular vents with lovely little chrome strips in them everywhere. Nice. Multi-function stuff on the wheel. You can scroll through the different no malfunctions except for the driver. You get, your trip odometers and your temperatures and your radio. It's all very nice stuff. You get a little clock over to the left. You get a tack over to the right. These things I don't like. I've said that on these other, the little digital graphs, the temperature on the right, the fuel on the left. You've got this big giant clock here, and then they just, almost an afterthought, they're giving you a temp gauge. Would have been nice if they gave you like a multi-gauge with oil pressure and temperature or something, and put the clock, well, they just could have just put it over here on the radio, which would have been fine. But anyway, it's fine. It's good enough. It's it's a niggling little complaint that really doesn't matter. You got your wipers here. You got your cruise control in the traditional Benz place. You got your Mercedes-Benz smart key that will tune itself to the driver. It sets up keys for different drivers. All your AC controls, HVAC, ESP, electronic stability program, that's traction control. If you want to drift around corners, turn that off. You got your heated seats. This is nice. Here's a rear sunscreen, so when I press that, there in the back window, comes up and keeps your Canadians cool. All very lovely stuff. This is not the command car. This has the standard radio, which is frankly fine in 05 because, 05, you're going to have like Pac-Man in your dash with the big fancy command. So this gives you everything you need. You got control over your CD in dash. You got a changer in the glove box if you want it. And, radio, AM, FM, that sort of thing. Weather band. Let's see what we got. Weather band always cracks me up.
Temperature 67 degrees.
Beautiful.
At Key West, fair. Temperature 71 degrees. At Orlando, fog.
I love that guy. I wonder if he talks that way at home at dinner. Pass the potatoes, please. And I just absolutely think that's great. Okay, down here you've got Mercedes-Benz climate control, nice, with more circles and ovals and chrome strips, automatic setting, two-side. You can have, what the hell is it? You can have your, oh, for the love of God, all right, let's see. You can have your hot side hot, your cool side cool, all very, very nice stuff. Mercedes-Benz Touchtronic shifting, so you've got kind of a gated shifter here, and you can bang your way through the gears going left or right. So you can see here on my indicator 3, 4, 5. Oh wait, this is a 7-speed in this car. You know, that's interesting. Okay, so in 05, they went to the 7-speed gearbox. Oh, God, you see, I learn something every day. I thought they were still running the 5-speed with the V8. So anyway, yeah, up there, that's going to give you better gas mileage. You got 7 forward gears in this thing. Also a comfort and sport setting. You know, all very lovely stuff. All right, in here you've got a center console, nice and deep, but of course it's holding what would have had a factory phone in here if you ordered it, so it takes up most of the storage. No Colt Python in there. Up top you've got a thing that opens to the side here, and again, maybe a very small 9mm, but not much. Certainly a switchblade. And then, like magically, this thing opens up both ways. I don't know how engineered that. I can't imagine it's going to stay working, but if it does, it's pretty cool. Self-dimming mirror here with HomeLink garage door stuff. Lovely. Nice big headliner. You've got your Mercedes-Benz M-Brace. That's their version of OnStar. You can run the sunroof back. You do that and you put all the windows down. Let's do that. There's the backs going down. Here's the fronts. And look at this. Look at this expansive air you have now. It becomes something akin to a convertible, really, or a Targa top or something. You just got tons and tons of open air. Oh, there's the phone coming in. Turn that off. So anyway, absolutely lovely all around. And I think that's part of what makes these cars sort of desirable and future collectibles, is that they're just kind of cool. Put the windows up. And we're going to go for a spin. So it's got a nice Chuchonic quietness. You know, there's a very faint rumble going on under the hood, so you know you've got a V8 there, and that's lovely. But it certainly doesn't overwhelm you in any way like it would have in an old Camaro. But wait till we hammer it a little bit, you get a lovely sound out of it. Again, they went to rack and pinion steering in this thing, which is nice. It's much more nimble and responsive than the earlier circulating balls, which were good for sort of a luxury feel, but not very good for sporty driving. What else? They don't, thank God. In 05, they could have used those E-Classes Sensatronic brakes, which were crap, and they didn't. They opted instead for sort of a traditional hydraulic setup, and that's fantastic. That would have changed the dynamic of this car a lot. Let's see if any of these jerk-offs let me in. I guess we're not too trafficky. There's a lovely insulation from the road where you just, again, with the radio on, I'm not really going to hear anything. With it off, you just get this faint idea of what's underneath. And, you know, here we go. Man, is that nice. You know, it just has this lovely pull in a very traditional Mercedes fashion, where it sort of initially asks you, you know, okay, you sure you want to do this? There's a little bit of a pause. It's not the biggest throttle response. Of course, we're also in comfort. Let's get it over to sport mode. It sort of asks you, are you sure? Is this what you want? You do? Okay, let's hammer it. And then it goes and has this beautiful rev band. And that is... you know, that's different from BMW and some of the other sporty stuff that sort of feels more youthful. You know, Mercedes-Benz, it's like a really classy middle-aged woman with just the right amount of jewelry and some really nice plastic surgery that just looks fantastic, you know, and keeps herself fit. It's got that same vibe to it. And hammer it. A little bit of wheel spin. Oh man, is that a nice V8 sound. So there it is, and that is the other part of the CLK. So I mean, obviously you can drive yourself around very smooth, very easy, very lovely. No issues at all. Nice quiet trip to the grocery store. And then when you want to unleash it, it's there for you. What a fun car on the back roads, and certainly an incredible highway cruiser. A true grand tourer. And very, very accessible for a guy on a budget. A regular cat can go out and buy one of these things, not spend a ton of money maintaining it, look good, feel good, and have a very nice, high-quality piece in great condition. I mean, you could get one like this, 60,000 miles, great garage, perfect, beautiful maintenance, and it's cheap, comparatively cheap. And you could put it in your garage, have fun with it, enjoy it, maintain it. Just don't go to the dealer and tell them to club you. Be cautious, look at the internet, check out videos. If you have a problem with the car, warning lights, get yourself a scanner, educate yourself on how to look after one of these, and you can affordably maintain it. And if you do figure that out and figure out that you can own this thing without getting hammered everywhere, write something about it on the internet. Give another guy hope, because all he gets is the horror stories. In our business, you can say you can have 90, satisfied customers, and then your 91st guy is hateful, so he writes paragraphs on the internet. The other 90 guys are happy enough to go on their way. They never think twice about it. So, what you're getting on the internet are the horror stories most of the time. And of course, there are some bad, hard to maintain Benzes out. Don't get me wrong, but the internet certainly is skewed towards scare and fear and misery, and it doesn't have to be. There's a lot of really rewarding ownership experiences in a Mercedes. So there it is. This is a 05 Mercedes-Benz CLK 500 Coupe for sale at Auto Europa, 63,000 miles. A real beauty. This thing's gorgeous. Diamond silver outside, ash leather inside. I had a little secret urge to keep this thing myself, but man, what are you going to do? If you have an interest, you can call Marty 239-298-8000 or on the web at aenaples.com. Thank you so much for having a look. We appreciate it, and we'll see you with the next one. Take care.